Try again here. All right, so this is the old Avatar unit. You want to turn it upside down. There are 4 rubber feet on here on each of the corners. You want to kind of peel those back a bit. Then you want to use a 3/16 Allen wrench, like this guy. And you want to get in there and remove 4 bolts on the corners like this. I apologize, this is the 3/16. Okay. Then you want to use a 5/32 Allen wrench to remove 4 bolts like this from these positions here, 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 and here. Then you take the unit and you gently turn it right side up. And just be careful. I mean, it's a pretty hefty old guy. All right. Okay. Then you want to pry the lid off, and I just kind of get my fingers kind of under the edges and kind of pry it up. Now you want to do this carefully because it has a wire connected to it underneath it, but you kind of want to get it up and then flip it over upside down and just set it to the side. And now you'll see this connector wire, and it does have a quick release here, so you should. And you should be able to just disconnect it like that. Okay, now let's get back in here. Okay, so step in. Okay, so here you've got a few components. There you go. You got your Pro Comp. This battery compartment for the speakers, you're not going to be using it anymore. So you could physically actually get rid of this thing if you wanted to in the end. But anyway, for right now, don't worry about it. Now you've got another component that's over here, and this is it's going to be connected. I've already disassembled this one, but it's going to be this thing down here. We've got to remove it and swap it out. Okay, and that's kind of a pain. It's going to be connected. There's going to be a speaker connector here on the old one. And then you can get this connector here, and you can undo it and just get rid of that cable for now. Now this is going to be in this position here, and it's going to be bolted in. There's going to be a little bolt on this side and this side, and you have to remove those. And I got to tell you, it's a little tricky. You kind of have to work in here and just kind of do it one at a time. But this one uses an even smaller wrench, and this one is a 3/32. Okay. So you get that to where it actually releases. All right. Then you want to pull those screws out of this, and you want to put them into the new unit, which will be this Pro SB. The old unit is going to look like this, probably something like this, Pro Interface. All right. All right. But this is the one you're going to be using, the Pro SB. All right. Now, the fiber optic cable on this thing is important. So it's got a collar around it, and you kind of unscrew it counterclockwise a bit, just so it's loose, and then you pull the cable out. All right. Then you take the new unit, which is this one in my hand. It's going to be the Pro SB, and you're going to slide it in, and it's going to get kind of stuck possibly, so it has to go in all the way in until it butts up against the laser connector there, and it has to go in. And how you do this is you crimp your fingers here, kind of get it up. Okay, like that, so I can see. All right, you get it up like that, and then you crimp your fingers here, and you kind of pull it out, and it needs to be a little over a full half an inch, so it's 9/16 of an inch, and then you get it back in that same amount, and then you can snug the collar. Don't go too tight, you'll break that little collar mount. Okay. Now, on the front of the Pro Comp, you're going to need to replace it with the one I'm sending, which is going to be this unit. All right, so you've got 3 sensors that are plugged into it, and they're going to be in these sensor positions F, G, and H. Just go ahead and unplug all 3 of them. The only one we're going to be using from now on out is the one going into F, and we need to replace it. Okay, so unplug those, and then also unscrew the collar to the fiber optic counterclockwise. Pull the fiber optic cable out. Okay, and just pull the Pro Comp out for a minute. All right. Now, this sensor, the one that's down in this position here, you can step in, Augie. Step.
Well, I can't use chairs there.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. All right. Now, this unit here, this is the one we got to replace. There's 3 of them. 1, 2, 3. It's this guy here. So you unplug it, and now we're going to be replacing it with this thing. Okay. And it's got like a... Yeah, so the end that actually goes in there is going to be I don't think it makes a difference, but there's kind of like this little joint here that plugs into this. Yeah. So anyway, just plug it in. So it's going to go into that number one position here. God, I haven't done these things for a long time. And then your ProComp, you can plug this into channel F. Okay, pull back. There you go. And now we need to get the fiber optic cable into here. And honestly, you can unplug those other cables and just get them out of there if you want to, if they're in the way. Okay. All right. Now, this guy here, same thing. It goes in, has to go all the way in, and then you grip it. And then you, okay. Then when you pull it out, it has to be 9/16 of an inch, a little over half an inch. And go back in all the way and then snug it in. Set this thing here, and just set this thing here. And then you need to test this thing. All right, continuing on. So now, listen, you're going to hold this thing, since this thing hasn't been anchored down yet, this fiber optic encoder. So you're just going to have to hold it in place and connect the cable to it. So you got to make sure that's all the way in, okay? The other end is going to go into a computer USB port as long as you've got a USB adapter. It's not going to be this adapter, but it'll be similar to this. Let me grab something real quick. Hang on. Okay, these adapters often come with an extension cable. You definitely want to use this. Or it could be that it has one built into it. And so it's going to plug in here at one end, okay? And then it's going to plug into the computer. And this small plug here is going to put a lot less strain on the USB port on your computer than this big old honker thing. So use this, okay? If it's an extension cable, use it. If it's already built in, then you don't have to worry about it. So that plugs into your computer. Okay, and hopefully the drivers for it, and I'm going to send you the drivers in case we have a problem, but hopefully the drivers should be okay. Hold it up here. Hold it up here on you. So you got a firm grip on it. You're shaking too much, okay? All right, so you got that all connected. Make sure that at the front of the ProComp it's turned on, so you should see the little red light, okay? And then plug in your point probe. Now the one I've got is in real bad shape, but it should plug into the front end of this thing, okay? And now you'll want to open up the Avatar System software. So let me do that real quick here. And it's going to look like this. Okay? If everything's going okay, and you've got the ProComp turned on and everything's connected, you should see down in the bottom corner, it should say Device Online. Right? And it'll be green. It'll show you the amount of voltage in the batteries you installed. Okay? All right? Then you want to take your point probe, and you just want to make sure that this thing is getting some kind of a reading. So you can take like that little end of that cable here and just touch the tip of it in there. I'm not getting anything.
You don't want to put that on here.
Oh, I didn't have something plugged in. So you got to make sure everything's plugged in. Don't be me. Do it right. All right, now let's see if it works. Okay. So then, if everything's plugged in, you do this. It's still not working. Oh, hang on a second. Yeah, so I need to backtrack here a bit, guys. So this cable here, it needs to be plugged in the correct orientation. So it might have like a little, look, it's coming out of one end. It says SC Flex Pro. The end, like, coming out of there, that short length of cable is what plugs into this kind of front mounting board. The other end plugs into the front of the ProComp into channel F, okay? All right, and then if your point probe's connected, you can take that little section of wire and just ground it. So you just click it here, and then what'll happen is, stop, okay? Looking at the screen of your computer, you'll see a reading up there, and it'll look kind of like that, okay? And that's telling you it's working. It's working just fine. Okay. So now we've got it so it actually works. All right. Great. Now you need to get this thing back to assembly. Now look, this battery unit here was designed to power this internal speaker system. And this is previous to newer version computers with newer version software where we tapped into the sound system of the audio of the computer, which is far better than this thing. So honestly, I just clip these wires down here away and just take this thing out so you don't have to deal with it. Then I would go ahead and take my little Allen wrench here, and I'd go ahead and get this thing back in here so it's tightened down. Then you just want to, make sure that you've got your cable here connected to the top plate. Make sure that that's secure. Then you put the top plate on. And at this point, before I do anything else, I want to hook the unit back up to the computer and make sure that it's working again. Hold it up firmly.
I thought you were
hold it up
leaving.
here. There you go.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So then you want to get the top plate on, and you want to hook it up to your computer and make sure the thing is working. And then if everything is okay, then you can turn it over and put those bolts back in and cinch the thing back up, and you should be okay. That's it.